Dude. 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 Hello there, Nate Jackson, Criterion Collection reviewer guy of all sorts, places, and peoples, and music festivals. And tonight it's finally here, and it is amazing. Numbers 167 through 169, the complete Monterey Pop Festival. Holy fuck! I don't know what to say, really. It's amazing. This is an amazing document. I mean, music lover like myself, I knew that I would get into this, because I've seen some of the performances from this DVD, like The Who and a little bit of Otis Redding. But, dude! Maybe I'm a little starstruck right now because I may be a little rambly right now because it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning right now and I'm just now finishing it, and so you'll forgive me if I forget to discuss anything. I'm trying to recollect, everything that I saw in the last 6+ hours, right now. But man, this one, yeah. Okay. Enough rambling. Let's talk about Monterey Pop. Directed by D.A. Pennebaker. Directed by D.A. Pennebaker, who we saw the short film and that short film with the Duke Ellington music, whose name escapes me. That was Before the Horse's Mouth. But man, dude, Monterey Pop, man. Yeah, so this is a box set that contains, it's a box, like a collection. Number 167 is the complete Monterey Pop Festival, but number 168 and 169 are separate entries that are included in this. But yeah, so first of all, let's just talk about 167. 167, Monterey Pop, the movie. 1968, 79 minutes, color English. Oh man, and mind blower. It's hard to talk about because it's a documentary, but it's also easier to talk about because it's a music documentary. It is about the Monterey Pop Festival that was done in, I think, 1967. And it was a festival that was done for charity. It was originally for it was originally going to be done for the artist, that the artist would get paid, but they eventually turned it into a charity event, and a lot of just great musicians came out and said we'd do it for free, and they played sets and made history. Really, it was a very, I think it was like an instant trip because a lot of people, including the musicians themselves, compared to the other big musical festival of the '60s, which we'll try to avoid naming for a while. And except this one, nobody died, nobody got killed, except for maybe some egos got killed. But yeah, no, it is, and it's about the music too. It really is about the music. You would think that, there's a lot of, 60s man, groovy flower power and times and all that, But it's really, there's a little bit of it in there, but it's really, really, really about the music. It is about that festival because the music was everything that made that festival, I think. At the beginning, there's a little bit of background. There's a lot of shots of the crowd and all that. A lot of shots of the crowd are spliced into the performances, reaction shots, people grooving and all that. And there's a little bit at the beginning where John, God, I forget his name. John, I think John Phillips, from the Mamas and the Papas, who was one of the big festival producer. There's a shot of him trying to get Dionne Warwick and he can't get in touch with her, and he has Michelle Phillips from Mamas and the Papas trying to talk to her and all that, and yeah. But apart from that, there's a little bit of interviews with some of the crowd, and a lot of crowds there comparing it to Christmas, and just like Christmas. I think one woman at the beginning compares it to like Christmas and Easter and your favorite holidays all rolled up into one like big day. And I mean, if you're a huge fan of music, then this was the time to go. The tickets were fucking cheap. I mean, well, compared to today, it's like there's like the tickets were like between $3 to $6 with $6.50, I think, with which inflation would still be like I think the most like $45 today, which shit. I mean, could you think of fucking music festivals like Coachella or like $400 to go see a bunch of shitty ass bands, and suddenly a bunch of shitty ass bands and one good one. But anyway, we're going to the festival. Let's stay in the past. Monterey Pop Festival. A lot of great bands showcased. Big Brother and the Holding Company. Oh, Big Brother and the Holding Company with the lovely Janis Joplin. Just as beautiful as ever, and just does that electrifying performance, Ball and Chain, that just gives you chills. And when she's over, she's in tears, and she's just like there's a shot of her where she's walking away. She has this smile on her face, and God, I just fell in love with her. Just beauty, just shining all over her right there. What else? Who else is there? Simon and Garfunkel. Clip of them doing the 59th Street Bridge song, the Feeling Groovy and all that. I think I'm trying to think of some other bands. Jefferson Airplane do their thing. Who else? The Who, as mentioned before. The Who. They're that great performance of My Generation, where Pete Townsend smashes his guitar and Keith Moon smashes his drum set. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna look at and see what's on here. Who else is there? Anybody else? The Byrds. I think the Byrds are on there, and yeah, some of these other bands. I think Buffalo Springfield. No, I can't remember. Like I said, I'm blanking out on. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of really important stuff. And of course, Otis Redding did his thing, but we'll get to Otis Redding in a bit, and we'll also get to, Jimi Hendrix Experience, of course. But we'll get to them in a bit because obviously their performances were dedicated to a whole number of themselves. But the movie in itself, like I said, it's about the music. It's not it's not technically proficient in any way. The editing is really weird sometimes, but it's still a beautiful document, and it holds up beautifully. The picture does not look like shit. I think Pennebaker got a really great print for Criterion and did great mastering and all that. And God, I wish I could say more about it right now, but I know there are moments that I should probably bring up, and I'll probably refer back to them later on, but we'll just stick to Monterey Pop for now as a movie. As a documentary, as a documentary, it is exceptional. It is a music documentary. It is. I don't think there is another really. As a statement of the '60s, it is a beautiful, beautiful statement of the '60s. And just as a movie, it's a movie, What can I say? You have to see it for yourself, really. My words cannot describe the beautiful music, that is contained in this testament. So I'm gonna give Monterey Pop an A. I thought to give this an A+, but I'm remembering there is one sore spot of this movie that I have, and that is Country Joe and the Fish, whose inclusion in the movie is just the low point of the film. It's really boring. Nobody seems to be paying attention to it, and it's just a really depressing part of the film. And so, yeah, that was like the low part where I was like, oh God, And I think right after that they go into Otis or the Who or something, so they pick right back up. And of course at the end, the big climax of the film though is a Ravi Shankar, who just blows all the audience's members away with the wonderful raga that he does. I think it's a raga. And like they may not understand it, but man, they get into it. And when he finishes, the whole audience just jumps up and just clapping for him. He's just taking his bow and praise and all that. And it's just beautiful to know like the Eastern music. I mean, a lot of people think it's really hokey now, but I mean, back then, it's weird how it just kind of became part of the culture, and it was really a music of peace and all that, and of course that fit in well with the '60s. But I mean, musically, it's damn impressive to watch. I mean, Ravi is rocking out on the sitar, and of course, whoever's on tabla, I can't replicate it, but yeah, no, I give it an A. I would give it an A plus, but like I said, that Country Joe and the Fish was blah. This is coming in the showdown. I will have a hard time deciding between this and Mr. Hulo's Holiday. I'm still not sure which one I like more right now, but these will probably be the two top 10. This and Mr. Hulo's Holiday. And I will probably cheat and just include the entire box thing. And yeah, so that's Monterey Pop. Supplements on that disc. There is a 20-minute, I think a half-hour interview with D.A. Pennebaker and Lou Adler, who's one of the producers, and they talk about making the film and all their memories of making it and all that. And they kind of interview each other about certain aspects of the film. And it's really cool to hear them talk about the film, so many years later. There's also a couple of audio interviews from members of bands such as David Crosby from the Byrds and Cass Elliot. John Phillips, I think, is on there. The publicist Derek Taylor they talk about. I think both John Phillips and Cass Elliot really talk about are the ones to compare it to that other music festival, and they both are in agreement that they both talk about their worst performance, and they actually say that it's the Mamas and the Papas. They say that they were the worst performers there, mostly because I think John Phillips mostly says it because they didn't really have a lot of time to rehearse, and because he was busy, really helping run the show. So when it came time, toward the end of the thing, they realized, oh shit, we don't really have anything too ready. So I guess we'll go out there and just perform our hits. And yeah, they both realized that they didn't sound very good. And you watch the film and you watch the outtake performances, they are a little off. I was going to get to the outtake performances later for the Mamas and the Papas, but I'll get to them right now. Actually, I'll save that for later. So yeah, and then there's the trailer, some radio spots, and I think that's it. So Monterey Pop, great stuff. And yeah, that's number 168, Monterey Pop. And we're back. Number 169. Jimmy Plays Monterey and Shake Otis live. Shake Otis at Monterey. Can you see there? There's visual representation. This is number 160. This is number 169 right there. I guess their performances were so great that they warranted their own release, which I think actually makes sense because they were released as short films. In the late 80s, like 86, 87, I think. They were cleaned up and had newly produced footage and all that. So yeah, let's talk about Jimmy first, because Jimmy's performance is mind-blowing, and it is one of his most memorable performances for those of you who know. But we'll get to, of course, why, for those of you who don't know, who haven't seen this performance. But let's talk about the film in itself. Jimmy Plays Monterey is a film that was done in the late 60s, I mean the late 80s. Like, I guess that was dedicated to complete the complete Monterey pop set, his complete set with the Jimi Hendrix Experience. It starts off with an audio of Hendrix doing "Can You See Me" with some guy, I don't know who it is. He's like some like doing a graffiti artist artwork thing of Hendrix's face. And John Phillips does narration. He talks about his history. He talks about a little bit of history a little background of Jimi Hendrix and how he met him and all that. And apparently there was toward the end, I think the Who and Jimi Hendrix Experience were two of the last bands to perform, and they both were going to destroy their guitars, or doing some kind of destroying act. And so they had to flip a coin to see who went first, or who was going to go first, because both of them didn't want to go first. In the end, the Who went first, and Jimi Hendrix followed, of course. But yeah, no. So there's a little bit of performance from I think earlier before the Monterey Pop Festival. I don't know where it's from. It doesn't say where it's from. Jimmy does some song I can't remember. This whole thing is a big blur, so you'll forgive me if I'm not remembering very well. And but soon enough we get to the complete performance. He does all kinds of stuff. He does Killing Floor. He does Hey Joe. He does The Wind Cries Mary. What else does he do? He does I think he does Purple Haze. But and he does interact with the crowd. He's pretty funny. He's actually got a good sense of humor. He's very, very groovy, man. Yeah, we're gonna do a song for you, man. We kind of don't know the words, but it's all good, man. And it's just like, God, he's just like such a really cool. He's got really cool showmanship, very, very down tempo, like laid back. Musician, like showmanship, like between. I think he was very shy, he definitely puts up shyness, but when he's playing, he knows what to do when the music starts, and all that. And then there's Wild Thing, the performance of Wild Thing, where he, basically, did the feedback, and then he started the song and played it. And then toward the end, he is when the part that everybody remembers, where Hendrix takes off his guitar, he humps it against the speakers, and then he puts it down, and he makes love to the guitar and humps the guitar and like plays with the feedback knobs, and then finally breaks out the lighter fluid and squirts it all over the guitar and does the finger wave, and then lights a match on it and lights it on fire, and then takes it and breaks it apart and smashes it and throws it into the crowd and all that. And then it's just mind blowing, it's a mind blowing performance. And I mean, the things that kind of ruin it, but also kind of make it a little more memorable, is the fact that Pennebaker cuts to shots of the audience, and they're like, "What the fuck is he doing? What the fuck is this guy doing over there?" They're like really stunned and shocked, they're bored, they're like unimpressed or something. So that kind of downplays it a little. I feel like, it takes away there's a lot of, times when Pennebaker, I feel like, cuts away at the worst times. One of the worst examples is in Otis, but we'll get to him in a second. But yeah, no, it's basically just the whole performance. It's a great thing, and if you want to see Wild Thing in its entirety, the intro is really cool, because he calls it, we're going to do the mixture of the American and European anthem, or something like that. He's like, "Oh no, don't move, man, don't leave, man," or something like that. And it's really cool. So Jimmy Plays Monterey, I gotta give it an A+. Because it's really awesome, And yeah, the color footage, there's a little bit of footage of the Beatles too, at least Paul and John around the time of Sgt. Pepper's. So that's one of the songs that he does before the Monterey Pop set. So yeah, Jimmy Plays Monterey is great. And as a supplement, there is a interview with Pete Townsend done. It says it's done in. I think it said it was done in 1987, but it was actually done like later. It must have been 97, I think. And he talks about his recollections of Monterey Pop and meeting Jimmy and how they were all kind of on edge because of that performance, but how they kind of made up before his death. And yeah, so that was really cool. I love the Who are one of my favorite bands, and so it's great to see Pete Townsend talk about stuff. And then there's Otis, Shake Otis at Monterey. Oh man, I've been waiting. Otis Redding's performance of Shake at this concert is like one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And to see it, it just like it's like a permanent smile. You can't help but smile at this guy's energy. It's just so God. He just comes out and just grabs the audience and just check it with all your might there. Put your hand on your hip there. Oh man, I was just yelling, shake! Early in the morning, shake! Late in the evening, shake! Oh man, I mean Otis, man. Yeah, so it's worth it alone just for Shake. That is like quite possibly the single greatest thing he's ever done. Better than sitting on the dock of the bay and whatever. Try a little tenderness. What else? Whatever else he did. But I mean, Shake. I mean, the other performances, don't get me wrong, are beautiful. I mean, everything else is just awesome. He does what else he does? He does Respect. He says it's done by a girl who stole it from me, but I'm gonna do it anyway. But what's funny about that performance is he must have forgotten the words or something or I don't know. I don't remember if he actually wrote more words. I mean, she might have. No, I think because he does the first verse. What you want, baby, I got it. But then he gets to the kisses are sweeter than honey. I'm about to give you all my money lines, and he just does that verse for the entire rest of the song. He just keeps repeating it over and over and over again, and I like at the moment I'm forgetting sadly that whether or not that was the case or not, but anyway. But yeah, that was a little awkward. And I've Been Loving You Too Long, which was showcased in the film, of course. And Respect, and then he does I Can't Get No Satisfaction and Try a Little Tenderness, and I think those are the only 5 songs. It's only it's only a 19-minute film, his section. And that's the part that I really don't like. He does Try a Little Tenderness, which is a great song, but that's the part where you barely see him performing because Pennebaker decides to cut to all these like couples in love and all that, and it's just like I want to see Otis. I want to see fucking Otis perform. It's like you see him all this time, and then suddenly you decide to be all artistic and show these fucking couples. Like I want to see fucking Otis. But apart from that, oh man, it's beautiful. I mean, it's also horrendously sad when you think about the fact that like 6 months after this performance, he was killed or died. I forget if he was killed or died. God, I'm so horrible at this. But yeah, no, he would no longer be with us. But after 6 months, and he was only 26. That's a year older than me. That's so sad. I mean, it's just scary to think that I could be, him. He could be me, because we're just so close in age, at that time. But yeah, no, it's a beautiful. Aside from the, Pennebaker's attempts at, capturing the '60s in his love song, it's a beautiful, beautiful testament of Otis Redding's performance and showmanship, and just to quote Eddie Murphy, that motherfucker's crazy. Throw your panties on stage. Yeah. To misquote him or to attribute his quote to a different performer. That motherfucker's crazy. Throw your panties on stage. There's also, yeah, so that's, I gotta give this an A plus. Even with the that stuff, still an A plus. And the only supplement there I think is an interview with Phil Walden, who is Otis Redding's manager, and so he talks about how he found, found Otis Redding, and he talks about a little bit about Stax Records, record label that Otis recorded for, and all that. So it's pretty cool, really nice interview. And yeah, I think that's about it for those two. So that's it for number 169. That's it. Yeah, there. A plus as well, all around. Great one. Maybe that'll be the top one. Will be that disc in particular. But we're not done yet. There's still one more disc, and I know this is this will probably be the longest review we do this year. Notwithstanding the showdown at the end, or whatever the honeymoon killers will be. It probably won't be that long, but we'll see. Anyway, but there is a third disc that's included, and I'm going to include it as part of 167 because it doesn't get a number really. It is the outtake performances, which were compiled in '97. They're 123 minutes of, or about 123 minutes of outtakes. And they're basically mostly bands that, mostly everything that didn't get into the film. A lot of stuff that, mostly the stuff that didn't get into the film or didn't get a lot into the film. Some bands that were in the film, but these songs weren't represented in the film. We got the Association first. They do Along Comes Mary, and Simon and Garfunkel are there. They do, I forget some song, and then they also do Sound of Silence. We also get Blues Project, Buffalo Springfield doing For What It's Worth. The Paul Butterfield Blues Band, Birds. They do like Chimes of Freedom, Country Joe and the Fish, yay. The Electric Flag, Jefferson Airplane. They do Somebody to Love, and I think they do another song. Al Cooper. And it's cool to think of, I think that's where, Mike Bloomfield and Al Cooper met. I know they were like a really good team, in the late 60s. So I think it was kind of cool to see them together on the same bill. Oh man, but a Quicksilver Messenger service, and yeah. But I do want to mention, there are three bands that I want to mention that were the highlights for me. The first highlight is Laura Nyro. Laura Nyro is one of my favorite female artists. I mean, she was a beautiful, beautiful woman. Her music is just so captivatingly beautiful. And I've never seen live clips of her before. And so I was really looking forward to seeing her, the outtake performances. And it's very sad that her performance isn't included in the film. I think the main reason why it isn't is because Laura Nyro apparently was paranoid that, according to the DVD, she was apparently paranoid that people were booing her, and so she left the stage early and just in tears because she didn't feel like anybody was listening to her. So yeah, and that's really, really sad because she's just beautiful up there. There are two songs. Now the only thing about her set that I kind of don't like is that the fact that she just sings. She's a bomb diggity piano player, and she's scary piano player playing good, but she just stands up there and sings, which might be, she might have had a hard time playing and singing at the same time, So, but yeah, no, it's still worth it just to hear her sing and just rock it. She does Wedding Bell Blues, and gosh, I forget the other song she does, but I've heard it before, and it's the name of the train. I forget the name of it. But yeah, she's just really up there. She's very shy. She does put herself off. She looks up a lot as she's singing, as if she's looking up the stars, or she's singing up to someone up there. It's very, very interesting. And yeah, but still, I mean, it's sad that, I think she cut herself short, but It's really, I think it's one of the best things about these outtake performances. Um, and of course the who are one of my favorite bands, and so it's great to see the rest of their songs. Substitute, they do Summertime Blues, they do a quick one while he's away, the opera. It's great to hear Keith. Keith is doing stuff and Roger's just busting up laughing during it, and yeah, so that was really great to see them do there. And then of course there's the Mamas and the Papas, and I wanted to talk a little bit about them because they said that they were the worst thing. In a way they were, but in a way they weren't. Their showmanship was really cool. I thought Cass Elliot was fucking hilarious. She had the band in stitches. She had the audience laughing. Her ranting between the songs. She was talking about things and introducing the band and all that. It was really fun. Now, as far as the performances go, the actual performing, the thing that weirded me out was that you couldn't hear Michelle for shit. You could hear, God, I forget his name. The short guy who sang, the lead singer, Harry, I think his name is. I don't remember. But John and Cass, you can hear their voices. But you look at Michelle, and she's like, I mean, they do California Dreamin' in the song and in the movie, and I can kind of understand that because she's singing and she's playing her piano, and like the mic's like right. She's playing, I mean, tambourine, not piano. The mic's like right here, but she's like all the way back here and singing all the ways around, but so you can't really sing her. And Cass has got the voice, then the sky are gray, the mic right up in this, but I'm not gonna yell in your voice heads. Anyway, so yeah, so that was a little weird, and what was even weirder was that even throughout the film, you still, even in the things, you can't really hear her sing. You can't really hear Michelle sing. Yet they cut over to her singing and mouthing the words, and you hear Mama Cass's voice, as if he wanted you to believe that was her voice, even though we know it's not her voice. I don't know. But yeah, that was kind of that was weird. And apart from that, yeah. The performances, I think the only really low part was Monday Monday. They did Monday Monday toward the end of their set, and it was cool to hear that song. It's a great tune. But there's a point where they stop the song, and then they come back in. They come back in, I think, a cappella, and they don't know where the fuck they are. Their harmonies are so off. And when the musicians come back in, it's like they kind of like, I think they kind of say, "Oh shit," to themselves, and they correct themselves, try to correct themselves as best as they can. But yeah, and of course the other cool thing is that Scott McKenzie comes out and does San Francisco, which is heard at the beginning of the film, and that was really cool to hear him do that live, but. They, once again, Pennebaker screws it up again by showing shots of the outside. I want to see this guy perform. I think he's got a great voice. It's a really cool song, and I think I want to see I just want to see him standing there singing. Personally, that's how I feel. I don't want to see other people, while he's singing. I don't want to see a montage, But I guess that was kind of part of the point, is to capture a little bit of the essence of the 60s, and to do that you can't just show up a film festival. You gotta show some of the people. But it's just annoying for a guy like me who loves these bands and music and all that. So anyway, we're coming up to 35 minutes. This is quite possibly the longest review I've done yet. So but definitely not the longest. I know I will do longer reviews in the future, and I'll get to that when we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But anyway, so the outtake performances are really cool. And the only other thing to mention is that there's a 10-minute performance of Tiny Tim in a green room, performing to, I guess Pennebaker had a cigarette lighter, performing the cigarette lighter, doing these really weird show tunes, and yeah. He does the King for a Day, and I can't take my eyes off this girl who's sitting if he's sitting right here, there's a girl sitting right there looking back at him, and she looks just like, what the fuck is he doing? What the fuck is this guy doing? Just really bored and shit. And right after as soon as this song's over, she claps for him, but she gets the fuck up and takes her bag and just walks off. And yeah, I mean, thankfully, somebody wanted to sit down and talk to Tiny Tim, you know. But no one can take it before. No one can stand it. She couldn't stand it. You know, yeah. Thankfully, he didn't do Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Thank God, he was just doing all this random ass, you know, unknown shit that nobody knows. These weird, you know, show tunes that nobody knows. That even I didn't know. I knew King for a Day from Bugs Bunny cartoon, Bugs Bunny and the Three Bears. But the others are like, what the fuck is he doing? You know? And then the other thing, there's Artist Index. There are some complete performances that were not included in the film. Some that just have like the complete audio tracks, which are kind of cool. And yeah, that's in some different 5.1 mixes of certain performances. And yeah, so that's it. That's all I can say about Monterey Pop. Really, it's. I don't think I'm missing anything. Looking at the thing, yeah, I don't think there's anything else. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm getting this one. This will more than likely be part of the July sale, along with, I think it'll be this, George Washington, and Ratcatcher, and that'll be it. You know, that's all I can afford right now. Maybe I'll try to throw some more in, but those are the three that I realize that I have to get now. Yeah, so Monterey Pop, overall, it's an A plus overall. You know, I'm still holding you, Pennebaker. I'm still holding you responsible for including Country Joe and the Fish. That could have been out. You could have put back in. You could have filmed Lou Rawls. Lou Rawls was part of it, but I don't know if. Actually, I don't know if Pennebaker was allowed to film, because apparently the Big Brother and the Holding Company's first set, he wasn't allowed. Pennebaker wasn't allowed to film that set, but thankfully, you know, they were asked to do an encore because their set was so good. So when Janice and the band came back, you know, that's when Pennebaker caught that performance. And yeah, so I'm sure I'm missing something really important to talk about, but that's about it, really. That's all I can mention right now. And yeah, some great bands. If you're a fan of music, please get this. I know I will. It's been on my wish list for so long, and like I said, I knew I was gonna like this, and sure enough, dude, that's the last thing I'm gonna say, dude. Monterey Pop, A fucking plus. I'm not gonna throw that one. We're done. All right, so Sunday. That's it for tonight. Thank you for staying up with me, staying up late with me. I'm gonna go the fuck to bed after this. As soon as this finishes uploading, however long it takes. Yeah, Sunday we got Trouble in Paradise. And Monday we got Contempt. And then Tuesday we got Pepe Le Moco. I think that's, yeah, Pepe Le Moco. Then I believe Thursday we're gonna try and do the Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. It'll be a late night. It'll be another late. I don't know. We might actually not be able to do Life and Death of Colonel Blimp that Thursday night. We might have to save that for Sunday. We might have to do two on Sunday. We might have to do that on Sunday, and then Band of Outsiders on Monday, and then I don't know. We might have to do this. Like I said, I'm still not sure about what my brother wants to do for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which I'm still waiting on, by the way. I thought it would be in today, but I guess it'll probably be here by the end of the week, though. No rush for me personally, because I can't get to it till, you know, the 14th and 13th anyway, so it's no problem for me. But yeah, so I kind of wanted to have that to show you guys. But anyway, yeah, so, but for sure, Trouble in Paradise on Sunday, Contempt on Monday, Pepe Le Moco on Tuesday, and yes. Apart from that, I don't know what's going to happen after that. So, yeah, so anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for staying up late with me. Morals. How can you? There's nothing you can learn from this film except this isn't a movie. This isn't a film you can learn from. Just enjoy this one. Just don't think about it. Just put it on and enjoy it and live it. You know, let this movie take you back to a time when music was everything. And yeah, so now I will make one more comment. I think Criterion is due time to get Woodstock. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, Woodstock. I think it's about time they started exploring it, because wouldn't it be cool if we could compare these two, you know? Anyway, thanks for watching. Monterey Pop is amazing, and we will see you on Sunday for Trouble in Paradise. And until then, good night.